wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, more like you. I wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, more like you. I wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, more like you. I wanna be more like you. Every day, Lord, more like you. I wanna be someone you shine through, Lord, and all more like you. And all the world will see it's you that shine across the world. And though I may fall down, you pick me up, shine across the world. And all the world will see it's you that shine across the world. And though I may fall down, you pick me up, shine across the world.
Every time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. And every time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. 'Cause even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. 'Cause even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. I am free. I know your love watches over me to guide me in my everyday because of you. I am free. I know your love watches over me to guide me in my everyday because of you. I am free. Yeah. Even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. 'Cause even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. I am free.
Every time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. And every time I look to you, I see the world differently because of you. I am free. Yeah. Even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you. Even though the world passes by, I know your love will never leave my side because of you.
Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions podcast with Brent Bailey. And at the tech booth, Jody Cook-Bailey and Luke Cardiel. We are growing our circles of connections and knowledge together with encouraging conversations and positive communications. And now, Brent Bailey.
And welcome, everybody, to Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions. We got a live Zoom audience with us today. Hi, guys. Good to have you with us today on this wonderful day. It is, Wednesday. It's hump day. We're over the hump.
It is.
It is great to have everybody with us today. I got a great show planned for you today. I've got a missionary from Iraq with us, and his name is Grady Pickett. I got Jody and Luke joining me over at the booth right now. And
we're excited.
All right, so
you want to know what today is?
That was exciting.
That really was exciting,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was exciting. Very exciting.
I love it. I love it.
So anyway, man, we've got a lot to talk about today, and the stories that Grady is going to share with us. He's a missionary in Iraq. It's just going to blow your mind. So some of the things that he's going to share. All right. So what's going on around the country today?
Well, we could spend days talking about this. Our National Food Day is National Tortilla Chip Day.
What? Oh my gosh.
But tortilla chips, I mean, it's a staple in our house.
Say it again.
National Tortilla Chip Day.
It is. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite. That's my kryptonite.
It is. It really is your kryptonite.
It is kryptonite.
It has become a staple in our house. So much so that when we are watching what we're eating, we know we cannot buy them because
because you can't help it. It's like you just walk by and get a little bit and.
Yeah. So
what's your favorite brand, everybody? Drop in the comments below and let us know what is your favorite type of tortilla chips.
Well,
or brand name, or homemade, or whatever.
I like Tostitos, but
the thin ones, the restaurant thin ones, they're good.
Ones, as far as buying them,
right.
So
I like the On the Border ones.
On the Border makes good ones, they do.
I love Chewy's too.
Chewy's does makes good ones.
Yeah, they've got
the thin ones.
Yes, I love that.
What do you dip your tortilla chips in? That's another good question for the audience today. Let us know in the comments below there. What do you like to dip your tortilla chips in? And I don't mean just like snuff. You don't dip it in tobacco. So I don't know. It's not a good one. So anyway, so let us know what you like to dip your tortilla chips in.
Yeah, I like guacamole. The guacamole I make.
Tableside guacamole.
Yes.
Where they make it right there in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah, because some of the stuff you buy in the stores is sketchy.
Oh yeah, I don't really like this stuff.
Anyway, all right. So moving on. What else is going on today?
I mean, it's Wednesday. I mean, we're in the middle of the week. I mean,
one of those
February
days.
is almost over.
It's hump day, though.
It is hump day.
We're on our way into the weekend.
Yeah. So
real
weekend, the new Tom and Jerry movie's coming out this weekend.
That's true.
That's going to be cool.
I don't know.
You don't think so? I think
a lot of these reboots, they try to make the characters the joke. And it wasn't the characters that were ever the joke. It was the situations they were in.
Right.
And so I haven't really liked very many of these, and there's been a lot of these reboots. Mm-hmm. The Brady Bunch movies, I didn't like those. The Yogi Bear one, I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I
wasn't very good.
Speed Racer.
What have you thought about the Disney reboots so far? Like
Nope,
the
not a
Lion
fan.
King
The
and all that kind of
original-
stuff.
Let me take that back.
That's
The
what I'm
Lion
talking
King
about.
one was good.
Lion King was good.
But I haven't really cared for
I haven't
the
watched
rest
the
of them.
Aladdin one, but
It's
I heard
so-
good things about the Dumbo one, but I don't know.
we never saw that
I will
one.
say Will Smith was very good in the part of the
was.
genie. I thought he was great,
Yeah.
but I just didn't.
But how do you follow up Robin Williams? Like,
I know. I think Will
You
Smith had a
can't.
hard time
You can't.
following.
really
He
can't.
knew that was
I mean, it was
The
literally
tall order, yeah.
It was literally the role that was like he was born for. You know what I mean?
And all the parks and everything, it's still him.
Yeah.
When you go
Oh,
see
wow.
the fireworks show and all that, if there's a
it's still
Aladdin
him.
part in there, it's still Robin Williams. So Anyway,
The cartoon version is just so good.
it is.
They are.
It is. You know, one of the things that we have talked about some here in February, besides it being birthday month here at our house, is that this is also Black History Month, and we are have been celebrating, along with some of our friends that are African Americans, about the inventions and the influence that African Americans have had on this country that haven't been taught in the history books over the past several years and decades. And simply, it's just been something that's been overlooked.
Yeah.
And I know that growing up in northeastern Kentucky, we didn't have any African American students at my high school. I think my senior year, we finally had one. And so there's a lot of folks out there just completely ignorant to
true.
the influence that African Americans have had on our country in a positive way. And I remember one day, we were talking about this before we went on the air. Preston and I, he was maybe 7 years old. He was still really little guy. We would go to Wawa on Saturdays sometimes, and we would sit out there, and I would work on my message for Sunday morning, and then he would, drink decaf coffee and play on his phone, and he would just sit there and have a good time. And we went to the Wawa down in deep Kissimmee, and there was one of the Muskogee Airmen was there that day, sitting out, had his hat on, Muskogee Airman, and he had his bomber jacket on, and he had to be in his late 80s by that point.
Wow.
And I recognized, who I was seeing there. I didn't recognize him as a person, like, oh, that's John Smith. I didn't know his name, still don't. But I recognized that sitting there was this man who was a huge part of the American victory in World War II, and he had his Tuskegee. So I stopped Preston, and I walked over, and I said, come over here. And I stuck my hand out, and I shook his hand, and I told Preston to shake his hand, and I said, I want to thank you for your service and for what you did. And then I said to Preston, Preston, this man is a legend.
Yeah.
Because the Tuskegee Airmen, if you don't know who they were, you could Google them. They were a bomber squadron that was a huge. They were vast majority of them were African Americans, and they were so instrumental in our victory in World War II. And I told him, I said, this is a living legend sitting here, son. And that man was so moved by me calling him that he teared up and he said, thank you, son. That really means a lot to me. And I said, no, thank you, sir. It really means a lot. So that's my story for that. I mean, it was just really a great
awesome.
day.
Yeah.
It was a great day. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
So anyway, happy Black History Month.
Yes.
I know that it's coming.
Yes.
It's coming down to the wire here to the end. I guess Sunday it ends, and so we celebrate with you through all of those things.
Yes.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
So moving on, before we get to our guest today, does anybody got big plans for the weekend? Luke, big plans?
I mean, I always have plans, but
Well, I thought
they're
didn't
not
you have
always-
guests
they're not
coming
always
in
big.
from out of town or something, or a friend?
Yeah, my buddy that lives on the beach, him and his girlfriend are coming
Okay.
up to visit.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
about it.
So-
I mean,
Yeah.
Well, that's good. What are your big plans for the weekend? Drop in the comments and let us know below, because it's always a big fun thing to do around town.
yeah.
Now that I'm 50, I can go and get senior citizen discounts at restaurants. So my plan this weekend is Jody and I are going to finally get to both use
Our
the
AARP
AARP
discount.
Nifty 50s Club member. Go get those big discounts all over the place. So-
I've hesitated and dragged my feet on actually joining it because
Nifty 50s, man.
So you're excited about that, Jody?
You
I
know,
don't think I'm as excited
finally
as-
getting to
Here's the
use that
thing.
discount.
Here's the thing. 50 is the new 30.
Right. It's
So
true.
we could be on Friends.
I'll still be 30. I'll be.
Exactly.
I'll
Could be stars on
50 can be
Friends.
the new 30. I'll just still be over here thankful that I'm 30.
Yeah.
How
All
about
right.
that?
Folks, we got a great show planned for you today. I've got a really amazing missionary in northern Iraq whose stories and outreach and ministry is going to touch your life. So let's get into it and expand your search. Today, we're very excited to have with us Grady Pickett. Grady is the president of Faith Frontiers, a nonprofit organization that started to help refugees and Christians in the Middle East. They are Americans who lived in Iraq for over 11 years. With their 6 children, they have stayed in northern Iraq to help when others were fleeing the various conflicts. Some of the videos that I've seen this gentleman post about their work and his explorations there have been absolutely riveting, and I'm so glad to have him on the program today. Please welcome Grady Pickett. Grady, good to have you with us today. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Hey, Brent, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, I know that you have got some just absolutely fascinating things, and we're going to get to as we talk about that. But I think some of your early videos where you were posting some of the war-torn parts of the country that you were exploring, it was like somebody just put a hook in my mouth, and I just sat there with my mouth gaping open of the not just the destruction, but then the ministry that you were actually bringing to those folks that have been there. It's really amazing.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a strange part of the world. And after the wars with ISIS and the civil wars in Syria, it's literally apocalyptic. It looks like Hollywood, but it's the real thing.
Yeah. So what is it like living there in northern Iraq?
Well, like you said, and we've been there for over 11 years now. So we've seen it get better and better. And where we live in Erbil, North Iraq, has kind of been like an island of peace. But we're surrounded on all sides by militias and armies and hostile nations and civil war. But all in all, it's been good. We like it there. Of all the 50 countries we've been in around the world, it's our favorite place.
Wow, that's really wow. That's a very interesting take on it, because so many people really look at that part of the world as such a turmoil-filled place.
True.
I know that I've never been into the other countries there, but I have been to Israel, and I was struck at that region of the country, how warm it wasn't just desert hot. It was pleasant and beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. People think all of Iraq is deserts, but where we're at on the Nineveh Plains, it's a lot kind of like Kansas, a lot of wheat fields. It is super hot in the summer. It can get up to 120 degrees, but it's also where the mountains are. So in some ways, it reminds me of where I'm from in Colorado Springs, the Front Range there. And then the big mountains, it's the Zagros Mountains on the border with Iran, shoot up, and they're snow-capped year-round. It's really nice.
So let's really get into what you do there. Talk a little bit about your ministry and what you guys are doing in northern Iraq.
Yeah, well, we've done a lot of different things. And, back during Bible college, I said, God, what am I supposed to do next? And I felt like you said, go do 3 things. A big backpacking trip around the world. I did that. Number 2, start learning Arabic. We did that. And then number 3, go to Iraq. So it's been one step of obedience after another. But now that we've been there for 11 years, our main things that we do right now is, we pastor our churches. We smuggle Bibles to the underground and persecuted church in nearby countries. And we help refugees. So we have feeding programs. We fund bread bakeries. And it's 101 different things we do to try to help people in their poverty and misery. So in these refugee camps.
Now you said churches. How many churches are there now?
We have our international church, and then we had 2 other ones inside the U.S. consulate. So before COVID, those were going, but now those are shut down. So when we return, we'll restart our church and just gather everybody once again and just keep going forward, verse by verse, through the Bible.
Now, how has COVID really, I know that you said it shut down some of the churches there, but what's the effect been like there compared to what you see here or in some of the other European countries?
It's similar, but they're starting to ease up. But it was a severe lockdown, and when you're kind of under an authoritarian kind of government, you just go along with it, you obey and see what happens. That's what everybody did. But as a nonprofit, as an NGO registered there, we had special permission to get out on the roads and drive, which was strange. Being the only car on the road delivering food to people who are running out of food, it was a weird experience.
So I'm assuming by that the government has been real receptive to what you're doing.
Yeah, they are. They are. We have a good relationship with them, and so I praise God for that.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about when ISIS began to attack really right where you were. What made you, I know that some people would just immediately grab hold of the grace of God, but what made you stay when all of that was going on? Because, and we're going to show some video, the places that you visited and the things that you were doing were absolutely so fascinating. Why did you stay?
Right. Well, just like any decision we always make, I ask God. Now, the whole world was saying, get out, run for your life. My wife was freaking out. She was crying in the kitchen. And I was like, God, what do we do? You know, I have a Marine Corps background, and I'm like, Marines don't retreat. We've come too far. But I was like, but Lord, I'll do whatever you want me to do. You know, we've got 6 children. My wife's freaking out. I sat at my desk, and my Bible just fell right open to Psalm 41. And this is what the Lord said. It says, blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. And we were already baking 700 loaves of bread a day for a nearby refugee camp. It says, the Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he shall be blessed upon the earth, and thou wilt not deliver him unto the will of his enemies. Woo, that's what I needed to hear. And that's the verse I held on to. And when ISIS was attacking our city, and I was like, I'm going to send my wife to the mountains with the other Kurdish women, and I'm going to join the resistance, and we'll fight these guys, and we'll save our city. It didn't come to that. Fortunately, some airstrikes came in from America and pushed them back at the last minute. But because we stayed, I mean, we gained some credibility with the locals, and they sure appreciated that we were there just to help deliver some aid and hold their hand in this really scary time.
Now, during all of that and immediately following, I guess, you started to find some of the hideouts and some of the places that they were stationed in. There were some graves that you found that were kind of famous. Talk a little bit about that, because that was some of the most fascinating footage. Yeah,
it took a couple years, but once the offense started to push ISIS out of Iraq, off the Nineveh Plains, back into Mosul, and then out of Mosul, we came in right behind the army. You could still hear the guns shooting, and you could hear the cannons going off and bombs, and you could still see the smoke. But we were going through the ISIS tunnels, and, you know, we were armed, and we were just cleaning up the place. When we weren't, you know, kind of helping to chase ISIS out of their tunnels, we had brooms in our hands, and we were starting to sweep up the churches and all the mess that they had made. So during that time, we also got into Nahum's tomb in, Nahum's tomb, but also Jonah's tomb. They had been tunneling all through this little mountain in central Mosul, looting artifacts. So it was kind of like Indiana Jones going into this thing. We found these huge sculptures, the old foundations of the ancient temples that stood there. And man, it was amazing.
That I know the footage that I watched when you would be in there, it was this tunnel system, and you'd be down there, and you would stop and look at the camera and be like, listen, and you could hear explosions and stuff happening way over in that was absolutely incredible to see that.
Yeah, we were stepping over bombs and tripwires and, you know, popping up all over town looking for these guys underground. And there was one time, I mean, there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and I was like, oh, dude, this is it. So as we're sneaking up to this corner, because it was a right turn, and it kind of funneled into a smaller, just got smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it went up. This tunnel went up. And then it came to this little tiny lookout underground, like observation post, where it was a lookout place, but it was a sunlight that we were seeing at the end of the tunnel. But man, that was I was nervous.
Fascinating. Yeah. Now let me back up just a little bit. As you're doing those kind of things, your ministry and your churches were baking 700 loaves of bread a day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then distributed. A pickup truck would take them to the refugee camp. And there was many camps, but there was one camp I felt the Lord say, this one is yours, and just focus on this one. Because one guy can't do it all.
Right.
But this little camp with 3,000 people in it, that was the one we focused on as a family and our team.
And when you're doing that, are they receptive to the gospel at that point? Or because I know that's a very strong Muslim stronghold there of Islam. What is it like to minister in those areas?
Well, the very first refugee camp I went to was the big one, Domiz, up near Dahuk in North Iraq. And honestly, I was scared to death. I had never been in a refugee camp before. Everyone else was like, don't go, they'll attack you. And I had a carload of blankets. But everything God has had us do had this hurdle of fear you had to step over first. And on the other side was a huge blessing. And you're just glad that you did it and you obeyed. So they are receptive. And I'll go in, I'm like, hey, can I pray for your sick also? So whenever they see me, they would grab me and take me from tent to tent and little trailer to trailer, little like refugee caravan. They're like, hey, pray for this person, this guy, and this guy. And man, they were just welcome and grateful that anybody would come and and help them. And
I heard you say there you were scared to death, and that was going to be my next question. Do you get afraid when you're doing not just the exploring the caves and the tunnels, but when you're ministering?
There is often that temptation to get into fear.
Yeah.
But I don't let it go very far. I just keep it right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're doing when you have that opportunity to do something scary, that's when you exercise courage, bravery. You know, when things are great, you never have to be brave, really.
Yeah.
It's when everything's falling apart and, you got to try and do the right thing and do what God's led you to do. You just trust in God and you kind of force yourself to do it and you survive and you do it again. So.
Yeah, I know that some folks would just be a mess being there in the first place. And I know that I heard somebody say one time that just because I don't live in fear doesn't mean I'm not afraid sometimes. And I just have to keep that in check. I think it was George Patton said, courage is just fear holding on 1 second longer. So that's awesome. So tell us some good things that are happening there, because I know that it's not all just doom and gloom over there.
Right. There are some good things that are happening. And, with the spread of social media and everybody has a smartphone now, everybody sees this other world outside the Middle East, a world of freedom, of new ideas, of different religions, different places to go and live, opportunities for education. And a lot of young people, they want it. They are fed up with kind of the one-mindedness of the region. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy who has a website, and it's all about new ideas, democracy, freedom, and he's got just an army of translators, and this guy gets millions of hits from people in the Middle East, just kind of peeking outside the box for the first time.
Wow. That's so fascinating. Our guest today, folks, this is Grady Pickett of Faith Frontiers Ministries. He is in northern Iraq. Currently, he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the frozen tundra out there. But he's in town waiting on some passports to be renewed and things like that. Grady, we're going to throw a slide up on the screen with your information. If you'd like to follow along with the adventures of Grady and the team, there it is. It's faithfrontiers.org or pickett-family.org. You can follow along on Facebook, where he does post frequently his adventures, and some of his videos that we're talking about and are even showing during the interview are there. It's at grady.pickett on Facebook and at gradyp74 on Instagram and Twitter. And folks, if you'd like to support their ministry, you can do that there at faithfrontiers.org. You can sure jump in and help them reach an area of the world that desperately needs ministry. Grady, I'm so grateful for your time today. I'm so thankful for what you're doing. And again, keep up the good work because your posts are just absolutely riveting.
Amen. Thank you, Brent. God bless you.
All right. Bless you. Have a great rest of your day. That's Grady Pickett of Faith Frontiers. And now let's stop for directions. When you're talking to somebody like Grady and you hear the heart of somebody who really cares about the people that they're ministering to, especially in some place that's such a faraway place, it really causes your heart to rejoice, knowing that the gospel is being preached. And I want to encourage you today that if you've never been on a missions trip, or if you aren't supporting any kind of missionary work, you need to get on that. That needs to be something that should be a core value of everybody that's a believer, because there are so many places around this world that need the gospel and need ministry and need the help and aid that the churches that are out there are providing. They need our help. And the thing about it is in Hebrews chapter 6, verse number 10, God takes care of those that do that. He says this: God is not unjust, for he will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. Listen, if you want to see God show up in a big way in your life, you want to see God do something big in your life, go and help somebody else experience the goodness of God. Let God use you to be that kind of blessing to somebody else. And when you do that, that makes more room for God to do that in your life. I encourage you, if you're not supporting a missionary, if you're not doing some missions work or in some form or fashion, make that part of your core values today. Reach out, connect with a missions group, help the people in faraway lands who need the Jesus that you know. I promise you, God will remember it and he'll reward you. That's going to wrap it up for the show today. I'm so grateful to Jody and to Luke for another great broadcast. They do a great job over there, and I'm so happy to have them on the team. I'm also grateful to Grady Pickett for coming and blessing us with some stories today and a real good inspirational vision of reaching the Middle East for Jesus. Until next time, I hope you found what you were looking for as you took the time today to expand your search and stop for directions. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us today. Connect with us on @ExpandingYourSearch on Facebook and Instagram, and @ExpandingSearch on Twitter. Relive any of our episodes on YouTube. We are available wherever podcasts are found, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also download the Direction Ministries app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Take some time today to expand your search and stop for directions.